Okay, let's dive into a story. It's about a single, really thoughtless act, and the price that was paid years later. A steep price. It's kind of crazy how a fleeting moment of carelessness can circle back and just haunt you. This is my story. My name's Aryan, and I'm going to tell it exactly as it happened.
So this whole explainer really kicks off with a question. A question I really should have asked myself back when I was a teenager hanging out in the school library. Was this place a sanctuary for knowledge, something that was going to help my future? Or was it just, a playground for my own carelessness? I think you can guess the answer.
To really understand this story, you kind of have to meet me. Or actually, scratch that. You need to meet the two versions of me. They're both at the very heart of this whole thing.
And yeah, the difference is pretty stark, right? That 17-year-old on the one side, that was me. Clever enough, I guess, but super mischievous. Just thoughtless. And now? Well, the 20-year-old me is different. Focused, yeah, but also desperate. And just filled with this massive regret. The gap between those two guys, that's what this whole story's about.
All right, so let's get to the main event. The thing that kicked this whole mess off. We're going to go back 3 years. It was just a quiet afternoon in the library and a moment of really, really dumb, youthful foolishness on my part. Honestly, I was just bored. That's it. I was sitting there with this rare history book and, this wave of teenage arrogance just washed over me. It was this weird sense of power, defacing something that belonged to everyone. It was pure impulse. I just wanted to leave my mark, and I gave zero thought, absolutely zero, to who might need that book down the road.
And this is literally what was going through my head. Who's ever going to know? There are thousands of books in here. It was my perfect justification, right? As I'm scribbling on the page and ripping out this map I needed for some tiny school project, I felt totally invisible. I was so sure it would just get lost in the shuffle.
So, 3 years go by. Life happens, And I completely, totally forgot about that afternoon in the library. But, and this is the crazy part, that afternoon hadn't forgotten about me.
And here's where my past and present were about to have a head-on collision. That one stupid act from 3 years ago, it was on a direct crash course with the most important moment of my life up to that point. I was prepping for this huge competitive exam, and the one piece of information I desperately needed was in that one specific book, the one I'd messed with. So, with my whole future on the line, I raced back to that same library. And the whole time, I have no idea, absolutely no clue, that I'm literally running toward a disaster that I and only I had created.
And you can just imagine the relief, right? After searching like a madman, I finally found it. The same dusty old history book. I thought, okay, crisis averted. My heart was pounding as I opened it up, totally believing I was just seconds away from finding what I needed to basically lock in my future.
And then, it just all came crashing down. That hope, it turned straight to horror. Because I was staring at my own stupid, childish scribbles from 3 years ago. The map, the one critical thing I needed for my exam, was gone, ripped out by me, for a project I couldn't even remember. The page was destroyed.
The irony was just crushing, absolutely crushing. It hit me all at once. The dumb, thoughtless thing I did for some tiny project had just completely sabotaged my entire career path. My past didn't just come back as a memory. It came back as a brick wall.
And in that moment, just standing there, totally devastated, the librarian's words from that day came rushing back. I could hear his voice clear as day. It was a warning I'd heard, sure, but I just blew it off. Just another boring lecture, right? And that's when it all clicked. I finally got it. This someone he warned me about, the person who would be left ignorant, it wasn't some random stranger. It was me. I was that someone. I had literally robbed my own future self of knowledge. I was the criminal, and I was the victim.
So, what's the real takeaway from all this? I learned the hard way that vandalizing public property isn't just about being cool or breaking some rule. It's way deeper. You're basically breaking a link to the future. And a lot of the time, it's your own future. That page you tear, that thing you break, it's a shared resource. And respecting those shared spaces, it's really just a way of respecting your future self.
Which leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? The damage you do today, the little things you think don't matter, what will that end up costing your future self? It's something to really think about, because as my story shows, you just never know when you're going to be the person who desperately needs that one page you tore out.
एक कदम विकसित भारत की ओर